Are you getting stuck trying to figure out what is your why, what is your purpose in your life and how to actually translate that into a career? If that is you, keep watching this video and I'm going to unpack this for you to help you move forward through this process. Before I do that, I have created a free guide on how to create the professional life that you love. I'm going to put the link down below here. In this guide, I go through 5 steps that I walk through actually in a step-by-step process with my clients. And I am sharing those steps there as well as common mistakes people make when they're trying to make pivot into a career or a complete career change into something with more fulfillment and more meaning. So check out the link below in the description. So as I mentioned, in today's video, I'm going to unpack, well, what is this thing? What is this purpose? What is this why? And, so many people I speak to feel really stuck on this. And I understand why, because I was stuck for many, many years on this. I actually can't tell you how many years, if I went back and counted, but it was, honestly, it was more than a decade that I was stuck on this. What am I supposed to do? What is my why? What is my purpose? It took me a long time to get there. And there's some things that I learned, and that's really what I want to share here because I think we can overcomplicate it. I mean, I know I did, and when I speak to people, I get the same kind of response. And just with a little bit of information, it can really help you move forward and get out of that stuck feeling. Because going in that circle of repeating is just not a fun process. So what I really want to start off with is saying there are 2 things here. And they are separate but linked, but it's important to know that they are separate. First of all, you have this thing. It is your why, your purpose, your reason for what you want to contribute, whatever wording resonates with you. We all have that. But first of all, to say there are layers to that. It's not just one singular end all be all. It is sort of, but there's layers to it. There's different dimensions to it. Maybe that's a better word to choose. And secondly, there is, well, how do I take that why and then translate it, have it create into a career that I love? And those are really 2 separate things that are linked. The problem I see sometimes is that people mesh them together. Really without getting clarity on both pieces and then marrying the 2 pieces. That's really what we want to do. We want to get clarity on the 2 pieces and then marry them. So what do I mean by that? Okay, first of all, let's start with your why and your purpose, because that is where you should start to start looking at, what you can create in terms of a job is kind of backwards. That's going to be a lot more confusing because you don't have that clarity on what you're working towards, because your why and your purpose is kind of like it's like a lighthouse. Okay, so it is what is going to help inspire you. What is your ultimate goal? What is going to keep you moving, on the days that are tough, that are challenging, that are hard. It's something that really is part of your, I'll say part of your soul, comes from your heart. It's not something we can logic our way into it. And I think sometimes what we do is we do try to do that. That's more for the creation part, like how to actually translate that into something. But when it comes to your why and your purpose, that really is more heart-based, more soul-based. Okay, so just if you're in your head on this one, that's okay. Just know that that logical brain of yours will come in handy later. It's just right now it can take a bit of a rest while we really tap into what do you want to contribute to this world. Now, often when we're looking at our why, we make it such a big thing. We almost make it bigger than us. So we almost don't see it because we make it so big. Ironically, our why, our purpose, ends up being something we actually already know. So if you think about your life, what are you passionate about? What are you passionate about creating? When do you feel like time stands still? What also angers you? Like, is there a cause, an injustice that really gets you fired up, that you really want to create change in this world? And it doesn't even have to be in this world. It can be, at a really small level. Like, how do you want to help like one person's life? So it doesn't, we also sometimes think it's this really big goal, lofty goal, and they're not always that way. So I'm going to give you the example of myself, my purpose, and how I created that. Just sometimes I find it's easier in an example. So in terms of like, what is my why? What is my purpose? Well, one of my whys is to help increase consciousness on this planet. We've been stuck in a lot of belief patterns and a lot of limitations over the last, hundreds of years. And one of my real reasons is to actually increase consciousness and to help raise that awareness on this earth. The way I do it, that's another level of my purpose, is helping people see who they really are. So many of us, me included for many years, we keep ourselves small. We shrink ourselves down. But part of, raising our consciousness is really realizing that we are all amazing and we all have these gifts and talents to contribute, right? And so that's just an example of what my why is. And that's something that's been woven through my entire life. When I even think back to when I was a teenager, I used to think to myself, how do people have it all figured out? Like, how do they just know everything? And then as I got older, I realized, actually, we don't have it all figured out. And so, it's always dropping clues in our life. And then I realized, okay, so actually, I want to know. I want to know, how do we know what's going on in life? How do we know the truths of the universe? How do we know the truths about ourselves and what life is really all about? So what I did was I spent years researching, reading, learning, going to mentors, coaches, spiritual leaders, you name it, all in the pursuit of raising my own consciousness so then I can therefore go out and raise consciousness in the world. You see, so it wasn't something so outlandish and outside of what I was doing. I was already doing it. I was already passionate about it. And so if you're feeling stuck, you're like, what is my why? Look at what you've done throughout your life. What do you keep coming back to? It may be so obvious that you don't see it. And that's often what happens with us, is it's so obvious and we don't see it. We think, well, that's just too easy. That can't be it. That's just, But if you think about it, your why, your purpose, is something you're doing without even being aware that you're doing it. That's how you know it's your why. If you're already doing it without even thinking it's your why, it's your why. It's your purpose. And again, there's going to be more layers you can unpack in that. But often we get stuck in that first step of what is it? So say now you've figured out what it is, or have a good idea. It doesn't have to be like totally dialed in completely, but you're like, okay, this kind of feels like it resonates. Sit with it for a little bit. Watch how it shows up in your life. Say it out loud. This is my why. Feel into it. Does it feel right? Does it resonate with you? Keep in mind, your why can shift, and it does shift throughout your life. It's not always the exact same thing. Parts of it shift, okay? So then you say, okay, so I know what it is now, or I have a really good idea of what it is. Like, how do I create something? And this is where more of your awareness about yourself and your logical brain can really start to kick in. This is where we really need to look at your experience, look at your background, look at your skills. What are you good at? Where are your beliefs at? Where are your values at? looking at all those things. Really importantly, super important when you are deciding, how you want to actually implement this into the world, is to know your success needs. Your success needs will give you that sense of fulfillment in the daily tasks of your job, of what you're creating, your work, your career. You see, we have this vision, and it's usually a little bit lofty, right? Like it's kind of a bigger thing. But we have to make sure like the day-to-day thing that we go through each day is actually bringing us a sense of fulfillment so we continue on that path. You see, we don't want to be having this great lofty purpose and passion and then create something that's so out of alignment with how we function as a unique individual that we don't ever get there. I see this sometimes with people when they pick an organization, like a company, or they love their mission statement, or they're working in a nonprofit and they really feel passionate about it. But when it comes right down to it, they hate their day-to-day job. And so they're struggling through each day because they don't know their success needs. They don't know enough about themselves personally and how they function and how they operate in this world to know what to be able to actually do underneath that big umbrella of the purpose. So you can start to see that these are two separate things to be looked at quite differently. It's not the same lens that we view, your purpose and your why versus the actual career that you create. Now, going back to my example. So I said like my big why is to help increase consciousness on this planet. I want people to see who they really are. I want them to know how much they're valued and how much they have to offer into this world. Now I created a coaching business. I became a coach, did all I had to do to get to that point, and have created a business that is in alignment with me. You see, I need to connect with people. I love connecting with people. When I have days when I'm not connected to people or situations, I notice my energy dip. So for me, connection is a big piece. For me, success also means independence and autonomy and freedom. So I have created that through making my own business. You see, working in a corporate job doesn't work for me because I value autonomy and freedom far too much. And so when I was in the corporate world for so many years, it was a constant clashing. It's like, I want to do my own thing. And I felt out of place there. And that's the thing. When we are working and doing something that is out of alignment with our own success needs, it can feel really uncomfortable. And we can feel actually really unsuccessful. We can just feel like we're just in the wrong place. And so for me, what I did was I said, okay, here's my purpose. And this is actually how I can create it, making sure I have my needs met, which keeps me going. It keeps me energized. At the end of the day, I don't feel exhausted. I used to feel exhausted at the end of my day. And I actually worked at a nonprofit for a number of years because I liked the purpose in it. But I was one of those people who worked and liked the purpose, liked the mission, but was in something that was so out of alignment for me personally. So you see, we have to have both of those pieces really to have that true sense of meaning and fulfillment and success within our career. So I really hope this helped clarify, helped you move forward as you progress in this. Like I said at the beginning, I know this is an area that gets really sticky for people. So, and as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there is that link to the free guide below on how to create a professional life that you love. Check it out. I think you'll find lots of juicy tidbits in there to help you move forward. And if you like this video, please subscribe, share, like. It really helps get my message out there. And there might be somebody in your world who is struggling with this as well. And I would love to be given the opportunity to help them move forward as well. So take care, and I will talk to you soon.